Welcome, everyone, to the intro to episode 7. I'm Phil.
I'm Chris.
In this episode, we get back to basics. We
Yep.
talk about current games that we're playing, including some arcade games, some non-arcade games.
Yeah, we also talk about some new releases, including Destiny. That's the game that I've been playing right now. So
Yep.
we talk about that for quite a while.
Yep. And that's really it for the
Yeah.
entire episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. We will see you next week. Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Calorie free?
Yep.
Just big bags of celery? Calorie free since 83.
Well, they got a lot of laxatives in it, so it just
I
cancels
feel it.
each other out.
I feel it.
You feeling it already?
Yeah.
So, hey guys, welcome to episode 7. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, episode 7. I can't count that high. So, like,
Well,
I have
this
a
is,
running,
like you said, this
I-
is already way past your wildest expectations.
Yeah, I have a running tally on the wall. So it just scratches in the wall, like a prison cell of how many days.
The good news is Jake finally left. So
Yeah.
we got that smell out of here.
Well, it's going to linger for a little while.
Yeah.
But eventually,
We
scientists
shouldn't have saved all those skunky beer bottles.
No.
I mean, it's a good blanket, but
Well, he reused them, but that's
true.
part of the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross, everybody.
Yeah, but once again,
Everybody.
thanks to Jake for coming back and doing 2 episodes of our podcast
Yeah.
already.
And so soon.
I know, yeah.
Before we hit 7.
I know. Lucky number 7, which he said was the magic number.
Well, let's hope. Well, we're gonna screw this up then. We probably
yeah, for
should have had
sure.
a guest on.
Yeah, well, nobody wants to listen to just us talk.
No, they'll be like, "Great, it's another Q&A
Well, they'd
episode."
rather have a guest come in and usurp your role so you don't get to talk the entire episode.
That's what I think the issue is. They're just like, you know what? I hate hearing Phil's voice. That's why I love Jake's
Yeah.
episodes, because Phil just kind of sits in the
Yeah,
background.
I just listened to episode 6. I don't remember you being there.
I wasn't.
Okay.
I was playing Angry Birds on my phone.
Yeah.
And then I just leaned in every once in a while to chime in and just be like, ha ha ha, good one. I'm still here.
Yeah. So, I guess before we get into the topic of today's episode, let's go back to last week's Twitter question.
Yeah, last week we asked Jake and then the audience, which game do people play to relax?
Yep, and we got a couple of responses, so we're just going to go, I guess, back and forth and read them.
Yeah, it was off the charts how many responses we got.
Record numbers, though.
Record numbers. We didn't even have to send out a tweet to force people to respond. Like, they responded on their own.
Yeah, as long as they don't look into that. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
true.
there's no proof.
Yeah.
But I'll start. What we got back, at Sunframes said, like to play a game by the convoluted name of Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo Remix.
So it's obviously a Capcom game.
Yeah, it's a Capcom game. It's Street Fighter characters and Darkstalker characters that it's essentially you're playing Yoshi's Cookie / Bejeweled / Tetris. Like, it's
Yeah.
just a gem game, puzzle game. You're going head to head with people.
Yeah.
And you're trying to fill up their board while clearing your own. So it's a thinker, but you can sit back and you can just kind of play for fun.
It's kind of like the same idea as like a mobile game, but on the console, right?
Yeah.
It's like a quick thing you can pick up. You can play for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of strategy involved if you really want to get deep
yeah.
into it, but like you can just pick up with your friends to kill some time,
Right.
and you can
it's
just
not
be
like, oh, I got to play for 45 minutes, otherwise.
yeah, I got to get through the story portion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another response we got was from @CannibalMuse, and he listed a couple games. Let me get this.
Don't cut that.
I'm not going to cut any of this. I'm just going to make sound effects like,
Yeah, that'll be perfect.
oh, it's lightning outside and thunder. So we got a response from @CannibalMuse, our old trusty Twitter pal.
Yep.
And his response was Kerbal Space Program, Mountain Blade Warband. I'm sorry, I've never heard of these games. Have you?
I've only heard of his last game.
Okay, and the last game is Faster Than Light. And then he said for a non-PC game, he would pick Halo 3, which I've also heard of.
Which, I mean, I'll agree. Like, Halo 3 was kind of like the Halo 2, where you said you poured hours and hours and hours into multiplayer. And
Yeah.
obviously, if you're just picking up... It's like, I guess, I would say it's like the, going and playing Call of Duty. Call of Duty is really a time waster,
Yeah.
relax game where you just go to multiplayer. Of course, those games don't work for me because being bad at first-person shooters, it does nothing to relax me.
Yeah.
As for the Kerbal Space Program and Mountain Blade Warband, I want to know more, because if they're that relaxing,
They sound pretty intense.
Yeah, Faster Than Light, I know, is pretty intense.
But maybe he just likes it. Maybe he just puts him in a good mood by playing it. So rather than it being a sort of calming thing, it's like, oh, I can just throw this in and I'll get in a good mood. I can just kind of hang out. I don't have to, like, get all excited about stuff in a bad way.
Yeah. He also did a follow-up
Yeah.
after he tweeted us, just saying that he realizes he likes older games, which I'm the same way. You can you can pop in a normal Nintendo or Super Nintendo game, and I'll immediately be just taken back to my childhood.
Yeah.
And I'll be eating Funyuns, drinking Mountain Dew, playing some Kickle
You still
Cubicle.
do that, though.
Yeah, well, whatever.
But yeah, and he says he doesn't know whether or not it's nostalgia, which it probably is a lot of that, but it's also just the simplicity of older games.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've come to terms with, before I used to just defend them and say, no, older games are better, but I realize it is a lot nostalgia. Like, I can accept the fact that I don't need to change. I like playing my older games.
yeah, no, you can have whatever reasons you want to enjoy older games. But it's one of those things too. It's almost harder to criticize because they're so nuts and bolts. There's barely anything there. It's like you can't really be like, oh, the story wasn't that great.
Yeah, because you're just like, really?
That's not the point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're playing a game where you just go from left to right and you punch everybody in the way.
Yeah.
That's not really a thing. Okay, well, moving on.
Yep.
Let's not spend too much time with this.
Yeah.
Jake Jarvie was our guest when we asked the question. At Pops Jake Jarvie said his ultimate relaxation game is Hot Shots Golf 4 on the PS2.
It's four spelled the golf way of FORE.
Yeah. Hot Shots I never played. I played a game Outlaw Golf for the original Xbox.
That was a lot of fun.
Which I had a blast doing, and I would probably list that if I was, 3 years ago. I probably would have listed, like, Outlaw Golf as a relaxation game. But have you played any of the Hot Shots?
The only time I've played a Hot Shots, maybe, I think I played the first one. I don't think that's the first one. I played the first one a little bit, but I have actually played that game with the Jarvies before.
Yeah.
So.
It's good? Relaxing?
Yeah, it's all right. The Power Star Golf, the Xbox One game that we played when it came out, it's kind of similar to that.
So just wacky, like
it's
full
a little
power.
bit wacky, yeah. Like the golf itself is kind of normal, but then like the characters are a little bit wacky and they sort of have special abilities.
Cool.
So, and then our other response was from @CraigJarrett, and he said the GTA free mode where he likes to just drive around and pretend that he's actually in the game. So.
I'll second that. Grand Theft Auto was never my game for a while. Like, I'm talking Grand Theft Auto 3 when it transitioned.
San Andreas, or was that 2?
No. 2 was London. It was the top down.
Yeah.
But yeah, San Andreas, my brother had it, and I never played any of the missions. I'd literally just load it up to steal a car, just kill people, and then see how far I could get, essentially. That was my first, year of Grand Theft Auto. It wasn't until Grand Theft Auto 4 that I actually really played anything besides just the free mode.
Yeah, I was the same way with 3. I don't think I remember playing the first 2, and it was totally different game 3. And I remember getting in the game and walking up and punching somebody and taking their money, and then I just did that for an hour or two. I don't remember actually ever playing the story. I don't know if I ever did.
Just targeting old ladies.
Yeah,
it
was like one of those things where it's like I would punch somebody and they would react, and then money would fall on the ground. So it's like, what are you expecting me to do?
Yeah,
I'm gonna see how far I can take this. So,
all good answers, but obviously let's top it by answering the question ourselves, which Jake wouldn't let me do last time when I really wanted to.
He wasn't wrong, but
that's true. No, I think everyone was wrong.
Yeah.
I'll go first because I just have it off the top of my head.
Your answer is going to be better because it was your question, but
yes, my ultimate relaxation game is NBA 2K12. It is. I know it's not the newest NBA game, but it's the newest one I have, and I can put that in, and I do quite frequently. Just an hour. That's how long my games last.
Yeah, you play every day.
I play pretty much every day. I keep finding new ways to entertain myself. Recently, I took all of the old players because there's legend players, and I just put them into a fantasy draft and started a whole new season. And then now, so all those players are just current, and then I'm just playing through a season as the Chicago Bulls, except for I have
Magic Johnson.
Yeah, it's now I have James Harden and Akeem Olajuwon and all sorts of just random people who never played for that team.
Right.
But that is just entertaining for me and easy, and I don't really need to think.
Yeah. I don't know if I really have a current game that I put in relax. I probably should. But the last game that I can remember that I would just throw in just to play was Halo Reach, and I wouldn't play like multiplayer or anything. Like playing first-person shooter competitive multiplayer is very like stressful for me.
Yeah.
Not in like a bad way, but I do get like amped up and intense. And if I'm trying to avoid getting frustrated, I'm not going to do that. Because at some point you're going to get frustrated playing first-person shooters.
You're gonna get shot by some 12-year-old.
Right. If I just want to relax, I would put in Halo Reach. I wouldn't go for achievements. I wouldn't go for anything. I would just put in Firefight and just play Firefight by myself. So I don't know. You haven't played that one. It was the free Games for Gold. Did you download it?
No, because I
told you so many times that you should.
No,
that's the one game that I think that we would have fun playing.
Here's the problem. I want to get it.
Yeah.
Here's the problem though: is I guess I have like some form of OCD where I need the hard copy of a retail game.
Yeah.
I need the box. I need the instruction book. I need the game. And it needs to be sitting on my shelf.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games I'm just like, oh, that's friggin' free. I just want to download it so I have it. But just like, no, I need, even though I don't look at the instruction book ever, I need it. I need it. Everything has to have a place. And my hard drive is only for arcade games.
Yeah.
So I'll get it, like, next time, there's like a buy two, get one free sale kind of thing. But yeah, I can't just download a full game.
Yeah, but what I would play is Firefight, which is, since you haven't played ODST or Reach, what it is basically you're just in one map, and it's wave after wave of enemies, and each wave has different multipliers. Like, they throw different skulls at you. Like, one, the enemy's going to throw a bunch of grenades, or one, everybody's, like, their armor's upgraded, things like that.
So it's like the greatest Dead Island mode, the DLC, where it was
but it was before Dead Island.
Yeah, I know.
It's like
Dead Island sucked.
Yeah, it's like the Horde mode from Gears of War.
Yeah,
but
okay.
You haven't played that either. But I mean,
but I know about it.
It's like a wave-based.
Yeah, I've played those types
cooperative
of things.
multiplayer thing, but I would play by myself. That's an option. You could play with 4 people, 4 people, or you could play by yourself. And I would usually, if I was just going to relax, I would just like throw on music or something, turn down the sound a little bit, and just
shoot some grunts in the face.
Shoot some grunts in the face with a pistol. There was one of the skulls is Grunt Funeral, which is if you headshot a grunt, a bunch of confetti would come out, and there'd be like a little yay each time, which is is more
satisfying.
fun than you think it is.
Yeah, so. I was hoping that you'd say it's Grunt Funeral and like the funeral music plays and your character has like a suit on.
You're correct. That was Grunt Birthday Party.
Okay.
Grunt Funeral is when you would shoot a grunt, it would like explode like it was a grenade.
Oh,
and then it would sort of chain react to all the other grunts and things like that.
But then you don't get to like mourn him, like all the other grunts get down on like a knee.
Yeah, it goes dark. There's a little spotlight, and it's like each one of the grunts says a word or two.
Yeah, it takes forever. You're actually trying to avoid headshots because it's like 20 minutes of just listening to them give a eulogy.
Yeah,
for
they
a single
say
grunt.
What their name is. There's a little picture of them next to the dead body.
Amazing.
So now that we've spent 25 minutes on our Twitter segment, we should probably move on to the actual episode.
Agreed.
We haven't, because we've had such great guests on, we haven't had a chance to talk about the games we've been playing recently.
True.
So what are you playing right now?
I'll just go 3. I'm playing a lot of games.
Do you want to hit one at a time, and we can kind of
we can do that
for a while? Yeah.
First on my list, I played and completed relatively quickly Child of Light.
Okay. What did you think of that?
I really liked it. It straddled the line between my old school JRPG niche, which I talked about when we did our Q&A episode, because it's still turn-based, but they added a nice, unique element to it where it's just like your little light bulb, your whatever
co-op partner.
Yeah, can either like heal you or slow them down, which I thought was really nice because it's still turn-based, but at the same time gave me something to do.
Can you play with 2 people?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And that person just, I think, controls
the light.
The light.
Yeah.
Which, not that interesting.
No, but maybe for, like somebody that's really not into playing video games, they can be more of a, an active viewer rather than just sitting there watching somebody else play.
But I enjoyed it. I thought, I don't know what I want to say. Like, it was good, but it wasn't great.
Okay, that's one of those games where I kind of followed development a little bit. I just kind of saw some of the videos, some of the stuff they did about the artist creating the backgrounds and stuff.
Oh, it's a gorgeous
which
game.
Which is beautiful, yeah. I mean, it's all watercolors, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's all hand-painted.
Yeah.
And it looks great. And But it's one of those games that I waited for because I was like, at some point, it's probably going to be the free game.
Now that you've purchased it for full price, like next month, like Child of Light's going to be the free
this
game.
week, it's already 33% off, 50% off on 360.
Yeah. It won't be this week, though, because we're going to be...
I know. Well, last week or whenever, like a week or so ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago,
Yeah.
it was on sale already. So... But yeah, I probably shouldn't talk about it yet, but it's because of the Games for Gold thing, because they're giving out free games every month for both the 360 and the Xbox One. I know anytime, I don't buy arcade games anymore because I feel like eventually they're going to be free, even the games that I like. So Child of Light is one of those games that I was anticipating. I was like, I got to get this the day it comes out. But since then, I've changed my philosophy of buying arcade games, so I'm waiting for it to be free.
I will say, and I know we'll talk about, it's one of our topics,
Yeah.
Games Gold. It depends on the game. I will download any free game that at least looks interesting and something that I can play by myself.
Yeah, if it's free, I'll definitely download it.
I
won't buy an arcade
I didn't
game
get Gotham City Imposters when it was free because
it's all multiplayer.
It just didn't interest me. But if an arcade game is something that I'm really interested in, like I don't want to hold off because because there's only so many games that are going to be free.
Yeah, you're never going to play it then too.
So it's just like I'll just buy it, I'll pony up. So Child of Light, I agreed with you. I think like eventually it's going to be one of those free games, but I was just like, I really want to play this,
and
so
also
I'll just spend it.
You played Valiant Hearts, and that's on sale now too.
Yep,
recently.
and if the most recent sale, obviously this is old because it's probably not on sale anymore, but Monkey Island's down to like $3.
It's $2.50 for each game, so you can get the entire series for $5.
So this is a very
not that you weren't happy to pay full price for those.
No, but if you're retroactively somehow listening to this in the future when that sale is going on, I would strongly recommend paying $5 for those two games.
Yeah.
But that's aside. Anyway.
So, how long was the game, Child of Light?
It took me maybe 15 hours, I want to say. It was somewhere between 10 and 20. It wasn't full 20, but it was upward because when I play JRPGs, the aspect of leveling up, for whatever reason, is just something that I love doing. So,
like you like going to the skill tree and going through all that stuff?
Yeah. So I would fight every battle. First time through the map. It'd just be like, oh, there's a guy. He's completely out of my way. He's not blocking anything, and I would swoop down to fight him just so I can get some experience and level up.
Yeah.
What I did think was unique is you get it's a big cast of characters.
Right, I know you can have other companions, things like that too.
But you can only have 2 in your party at one time, which is really interesting because you get, I'm just going to say 6, 7 characters. And so picking, you switch them on the fly, but at the same time you're like, man, I only can control 2.
So it's like they add another RPG element, but in your companion.
Yeah, so you're just like, well, this one's got actual spells, but this guy can take a beating, so it's always something to consider about. So I enjoyed it. Like I said, it scratched my itch, but it's not going to replace any JRPGs.
I don't think it's supposed to though. That's because it's an arcade title. It's a smaller thing.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like a flavor, and it's interesting to look at. And so
I will recommend if people are going to get this after they listen to this for whatever reason. There's settings for difficulty. There's casual and there's normal. If you are playing this game, please switch it to normal. Because I started off on casual because that's the default. For some reason, it defaults to casual.
Interesting.
And the game is super easy. Does
it kind of do things for you?
Well, no, it doesn't do things for it doesn't level up for you. It doesn't do anything like that. It's still your control. But the problem with casual versus normal, I played before I realized to switch it. I went through maybe 6, 7 hours of game, halfway through the game.
Wow.
Yeah, it took a while because I'm just like, man, maybe it's because I'm leveling up so much. It was like that. Maybe I'm just really good.
Too powerful.
I'd never had a character die in battle.
Right.
There's a character
and you could probably use the same attacks and stuff like that. There wasn't enemies that were immune to things or blocking things.
There was, but at the same time, it was just one of those things where it's just like you said, I could essentially fight and not use magic for a good portion and then use magic and just whoop it. And just it's one of those things I just noticed. I'm just I never lost a character. Normal is not a huge jump from casual, but it at least gives you that kind of pressure where like you might not beat a battle the first time you walk in. I never went into a head boss when I was playing on casual.
It's still normal. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Like, normal is probably how the game should be played. Casual is like beginner.
Yeah, casual, they say casual is for people who want to get the story.
Yeah.
So you
can you get all the achievements playing through on casual?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can. But I'm just saying, like, you will, I think, enjoy the game more playing a normal than
yeah,
casual.
for sure. That was just a personal question.
Yeah. You can. Like, if the things get too hard or you just want to beat a boss or whatever.
I was just curious if you had to go back and do other stuff.
No.
Okay.
No, yeah. There's no difficulty-specific ones,
okay.
which is good. Are we going to go give and take, or should I go just next game?
You can keep going.
The next game, it's September. There was the first half of September. We're going games with gold.
Yeah.
So it was a free game. It was a game called Monaco. I downloaded that. I started that with one of my buddies from back home. We didn't have any games in common, and he actually listened to the podcast. He was like, if you ever want to play games, let me know.
Nice.
And I looked through our history, and we had 0 games in common. So I told him,
like, get the free game.
I was like, this game's free.
We'll play
it together.
Now, I haven't seen much about that. I've just seen the cover art. What is that game exactly?
Monaco is a game where if I summed it up, it's Ocean's 11. It's 4 players, Ocean's 11. It's a top-down heist game. You pick a character. Each character's got a different skill. Like, there's one character who's super fast at unlocking doors, one character who can hack things, one character who can knock out guards, whatever. You pick a character, and you get placed in a level, and essentially, like, go steal the money, or get to the escape vehicle, or something like that.
Placed the same place? Like, the two of you are next to each other?
Yeah, you play the same
screen.
Same screen.
Okay.
Oh, but he can go off screen. You start off on the same screen. So like,
does his screen follow his character, or does it do like a split screen?
No, his screen follows his character.
Okay.
So like, technically,
you can leave your screen. You don't know where he's at.
Yeah, there's floors. There's floor plans, right? So like, the first floor, he can't go to the second floor with me being on the first floor.
Okay.
We have to stay on the same floor, but the floor plans are big enough where he could be at one side of the map and I could be at the other side of the map, and we could be cleaning it out and then just meet at the stairs, kind of situation. It's enjoyable. It's definitely one of those games where, like, it's one of those, like, it's meant to be played with a lot of people, because then you kind of get that full Ocean's 11 feel where you have guys who are specific at certain things.
Yeah, or like a heist, you know.
Yeah, because we have a thing, like, at least the early levels, like, I was always the cleaner because that's the only character that can knock out bad guys. Otherwise, you just get spotted and you have to run, and then he would, switch between, like, there's a guy who, like, has a monkey that goes and steals and stuff. Whatever.
And his boobs.
And his boobs.
Yeah.
But so, like, it's fun. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, like, it's not, again, it's free.
Did you complete it?
I did not complete it.
Okay.
We don't play that much.
If you want another person to play it, like, I downloaded it too, so if you need it, how many people can play it once?
4 people can play it once.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
What jobs are left?
There's a lot of jobs.
I'm just saying, what characters are left?
That we don't use?
Yeah. Like, I'm saying, if I'm going to be part of this crew, what job am I going to do?
I would say that, here's what I'll say.
Okay.
I would say here are the 4 best jobs that I know of. So then we just cycle between the 4 best jobs. There's the cleaner who can knock out guards.
Yeah.
There's a guy called the gentleman who can blend.
I'm listening.
Who can blend into a crowd for a short period of time. When guards see him, like, they won't immediately raise the alarm. If they keep looking at him, it will. And if he stays out in the open too long, then they'll realize that he's a thief. That's a good one for just kind of like getting into a room real quick that there's a guard at, getting the money and leaving. There's a hacker who's good at essentially like shutting down cameras and taking down alarms and stuff like that. He's super good. And then I would say the 4th one that we use the most is it's a pickpocket. And that's the guy with the monkey, because the monkey can't be seen by the guards for some reason.
Like,
and
even if he's right in front of him?
Even if he's right in front of him, and it's completely computer controlled, and the monkey just goes for whatever's closest.
Okay.
So you still have to walk close, but the monkey will just dart into a room, take the money, and then dart out. And it never alerts the guard. So there are a couple times...
perfect crime.
There's a couple parts where it's just like, we need to get all the gold in this room, but there's freaking a million guards, and they were onto us. So, like, we ended up having to play it again as that guy, so he could just stand outside the door, and then the monkey runs in, grabs all the money, and then runs out, and it was perfect. Those are the 4 that I'd say are the best jobs that then we just say like, whoever isn't one of them.
Right.
Whatever.
Okay.
It's hard though.
But in a fun way or in a frustrating way?
Both. I guess like we're still pretty close to the beginning. There's a bunch of different tales. We're still in like the first tale.
Uh-huh.
And you start off in the games, obviously you're just playing against guards. And guards are kind of easy to fool, and they're kind of sporadic, where there's just not that many in a level. So you like send the cleaner in, knocks this guard out, then you clean out the room, and then you get out of the room before he wakes up. But then you get to the later levels, and they have like dogs, and the dogs can smell your position, so you have to constantly be moving. Like you can't just like hide and wait for a patrol.
Yeah.
You have to constantly be moving, and then like, they kind of are cheap. And then once you're seen, you don't have any weapons for the most part. There are some levels with weapons, where like a shotgun or something like that you can use. But for the most part, you just have to run, lose them, hide in a room. And the problem is with dogs, you run, and then maybe you lose them for a couple of seconds, and they pick up your smell again. Yeah. So there are a couple times where you're just like, we've tried this level like 30 times. It's ridiculous.
If it's only the two of you playing, do two people or however many people fill out the roster AI, or is it just you two
just
people
two.
doing the level?
Yeah,
okay.
like if you play a level by yourself, it's just you playing that level.
So you probably wouldn't have fun trying to play it by yourself.
There are some achievements that you have to do playing by yourself. Like you have to beat the game playing by yourself.
Seems not fun.
The long and short of it, since I know we're both achievement guys, is that each level you get a trophy. There's 4 trophies. 1 trophy's for beating it by yourself. 1 trophy's for beating it cooperatively. You can't get both of this on the same go, of course, for obvious reasons.
Time trial?
No, there's 1 trophy for beating level without dying, without anybody dying. Mm-hmm. And there's 1 trophy for beating level with getting all the money in the level. Because there's like gold coins.
Yeah.
So you get this cleaned out, which is essentially you've taken every dollar. So most of the time, what happens is you get we'll play level 2 people first. We'll get the 2-player trophy, and we'll get the cleaned out trophy, because we make sure that we get every money. And then when I go back and play it by myself...
Are you alerted in the game when you get all the money of the level?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll say cleaned out, and then you know how to exit. And then when I play by myself, since I've already played the level and I kind of know what to do, and I don't need to worry about getting all the coins,
I just go
I go straight as fast as I can to the mission and get out, and then I get the single player and no dying.
Yeah.
Because you technically can't get single player and die. There's no respawn. You just start the mission over.
Okay.
So if you beat it, you're at least by yourself. You're always going to have at least those 2 trophies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. What's the other game you're playing?
Again, arcade games. I could go into like actual games of playing. I'm still playing Mass Effect forever.
Yeah, I saw you started the DLC, one of the DLCs.
Yeah, I started Omega.
Why did you choose to start that one?
Omega?
Yeah.
Well, this is not a great story, but I just do the Bing.
I'm saying, what's your process of playing a game? Like, because that's DLC, because you're only part of the way through the game, why did you choose to pick DLC already, and why did you choose that one, if there's a reason?
I don't have the 2 $10 ones.
Uh-huh.
And so the other one that I have is the Citadel one, which technically I'm not the story part to have that trigger.
Okay.
So when I downloaded this one, I was just going to download as I get them.
Uh-huh.
And I'm at a point where there's a story mission that I have to do. I've done all the side quests. It's that story mission. But when I fired it up last time, it's like, you have new messages. And that new messages is the DLC message. Okay. So I was just like, should I do the story mission or should I do DLC? And I'm talking to Caitlin.
Yeah.
And she's just like, whatever. And I was like, let's just go do this DLC. So then there's no like rhyme or reason. It was
that's the reason. Yeah. I mean, is you got the in-game message that like to take that task. So okay, makes sense.
But so like all the games that I could talk about that I'm playing are just games I've talked about before. Lego Marvel, still playing, still enjoying, blah blah blah. But I will say the other arcade game that I talked about a little bit 2 episodes ago was Deadfall. Which was an arcade game I got a long time ago when it was free.
It was a free one. I played it.
It was a free one.
Yeah.
And I'm just playing through it. And it's just to, if people don't know, it's essentially a side scroller. It's a left to right.
Aspect. Yeah, it's kind of like a Shadow Complex.
Yeah, it's left to right. It's a zombie apocalypse, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, it's called Deadfall. Yeah. It's about zombie apocalypse. And your goal is to obviously just survive and find your family.
Yeah.
And it's a mix of like platforming, because you have to like make certain jumps and you have to know when to sprint and stuff like that. And then also like puzzle, because you're just like, how do I get on top of this level? And then you figure it out. That, out of the 3 I listed, Deadfall is the lowest on my list. But that's
your least favorite of
least
the games.
favorite, but it was free. So
yeah, it was all right. I think I played through it in like 1 or 2 sittings.
Yeah.
The style, the graphical style is pretty cool. Voice acting isn't great of the main guy.
No.
But it's a fun little arcadey game. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's a game like...
I didn't pay for it, and it's short. So
I guess my thing is, like, with Monaco and with Deadfall and with Child of Light, if you're not getting it for free, I would say all 3 are games that you should pick up on sale.
Okay.
Deadfall being, like, I wouldn't
What's
pay...
your favorite of the 3?
Child of Light.
Child of Light. Yeah. So if I pay $10 for it, it wouldn't be the end of the world?
No. Like, if I was to rank, I'd be like, $10 for Child of Light, $5 for Monaco, $3 for Deadfall.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, like, if it's not on sale and it's like a $15 for Deadfall, I'd just be like, forget it.
No, I don't think it was ever that high.
I don't remember. Yeah. What are you playing?
Well, I tried out Super Time Force because it was the Games for Gold, the free game for the Xbox One last month. And I just played it a little bit, and it's actually a lot of fun. Like, it's I was telling you this off air a while ago that it's like one of the things in the opening cutscene actually made me laugh out loud, and it's a fun silly game. What?
You lolled?
Yes, I did lol. It's like, it's very tongue in cheek. It's supposed to be funny. It's an 8-bit game or 16-bit game, and it's just silliness. Like, there's the opening cutscene, but it's like the old school where it just shows a picture of a person talking and then has the text below them, and it's like, There's a lot of time jokes. There's a lot of references to other things, but it was just a lot of fun. I just played it. I only played it once. I played it for like an hour or 2.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Like one of the levels you go back in time to like the dinosaur times, and the character you pick up he looks like Robbie Sinclair from Dinosaurs,
the TV show?
The TV show.
Nice.
And there's other references and stuff. I think there's like a DeLorean in it somewhere.
Well, if you're going to do a time travel game, you have to have the DeLorean.
So if you don't know what it is, too, it's a side-scrolling shooter, and you have like a time power, and that time power is you can reverse time. So if you die, if you're not passing the level in enough time, you can reverse time. Also, there's like little orbs that you can get that slows down time, so you can kind of move normal time, but everybody else is slower. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, you basically have 60 seconds to beat an entire level, and so you have to manage your time using these tricks. So like if you try to pass, an obstacle and it takes you like 3 or 4 jumps to do, or you don't know what puzzle to complete or how to do it, you basically do it once, and then you go reverse time and then do it with like perfect timing or perfect jumping, and then you can beat the level in the right amount of time. The other cool thing is you can switch. You pick up characters as you go throughout the game. You can say each level has at least 1 character to save, and they all have like funny names. They're either time jokes or 80s references. Or things and you can switch between them whenever you want. So either when you die, you can switch to them, or if you're like, okay, I need somebody that has a bazooka right now to blow down this door, or I need somebody that can double jump so I can get over this hill, you can just switch to them. And the cool thing is, too, is that those people existed in those times when you did it. So if you go through first time and you're there and you're shooting bad guys and stuff, if you reverse time to play as another character, that first character will still be there ghosting, shooting those characters for you. So you don't have to always then shoot the same guys or do the same things.
So you can essentially send one guy through that's going to try and kill everyone, and then
you can keep doing it and then try to beat the level in like 10 seconds or something, because you've already sent an army of 40 other characters to do all the little things along the way, and then you can just breeze through it.
Nice.
But yeah, it's fun and interesting, and I'm hoping to play it more. But the reason I haven't played it more is because I'm currently playing a game that I'm sure most people are playing right now. And
Dance Central Spotlight.
That's exactly, you stole my joke. That's what I was going to say. So yeah, Dance Central Spotlight. So I finished up Dance Central 3, finally. I'm kind of upset that you didn't say anything or do anything. Like, I'm not expecting a cake, but like a cupcake would have been nice.
Yeah, because as I've talked about, any Dance Central thing will make me angry. If I got you a cupcake, it would not taste good.
No, it would be a dog cupcake.
Yeah,
it would be made out of a dog.
Well, I've only killed one.
Yeah. But yeah, so I finally beat Dance Central 3. I just had that stupid one achievement, which is get 10,000 nice moves, which is like the good but not great. So the 10,000 flawless moves I got in the first week of the game.
Because you're just so good.
Well,
you're just
no,
so
I mean,
talented.
no, most people did that, and so I literally had to find a song that I could only. The thing about the game is you can't like half-ass it. You'll just get no points. So to get good but not great is very hard to do on purpose. So I had to find a specific song.
Should just asked me.
Yeah. It would have just been all bads. It would have been.
Aw.
It would have been almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to find a song that I could do, so I could get just nice moves. I would not move the lower half of my body. I would just move my arms and stuff, and that was enough to
Count.
Get good. And I had to boost that for a couple hours, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, so Dance Central Spotlight came out. It's the download only version. Just comes out on Xbox. Dance Central is an Xbox exclusive. Because it uses the Kinect. And it's fun. They've moved towards the sort of, not exactly free to play because it's $10, but the sort of digital only, arcadey, buy what you want. It's like a la carte. So you get 10 songs for $10 and the core of the game, all the features and everything. But then you choose which songs to download. So they had 50 songs available day one. They've already come out with new songs since then. And you basically just pay $2 for all the songs you want to play. The cool part is, though, so far, they've released some DLC that's been out for other games, and if you've already bought them, then it's free. But for this game, there's 8 different routines for every song. So 4 of those are just difficulty level. So you got like easy, beginner, medium, hard, whatever. And now they've added 4 other ones, which is like there's 2 workout ones, one's just cardio, one's strength. It's different for every song. Then you also have like a sort of crazy or fun one. There's different styles. There's like goofy, or there's like fancy, or things like that. They just name them different things, but there's completely different moves. The entire song has moves that they don't share any moves within the song. And then they also have like a hard version of those other crazy style things, like manly and stylish and blah, 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 blah. So you're basically getting so much more content, even the songs that you've played a bunch of times. So like the DLC songs, I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to play these a lot because I played them a bunch, but I just want them on here when we play with people. But then it's like there's 4 completely new routines. This is a song that I've played 1,000 times. I know exactly all the moves, but then I'm playing it for the first time, basically, if you play these new things. So that's cool. That's a cool new feature. There's been some bugs and some problems, both with licensings of the songs, and the day one you couldn't sign into it. There was a problem with most gamer tags where if you tried to load the game, it would crash, because if you played the other ones, there was a weird profile bug. So you have to go in and change your gamer picture, and then you could load the game, and then you can change it back and it'd be fine.
That's weird.
It wouldn't initially let you start the game, or it would hard crash the game every time.
Well,
sounds fun. Oh, and there's also a glitch tracking about your days, how many days in a row. There's an achievement for playing 7 days in a row.
Yeah.
Which I should have gotten a long time ago. And
are you still playing every day?
I'm still playing multiple times a day because I know there's 2 issues. One, the Xbox counts days weird. It doesn't count them as a calendar day. It doesn't say like, okay, 12 midnight is a new day. It's 24 hours from the first time you play. And then subsequent times you play. Like if you haven't played for a week, it's whenever that needed. So like I played it at 4 a.m. the first time. So my day technically starts at 4 a.m. So I have to play after 4 a.m. every time for it to be a new day.
That's really weird.
To be a new day. And now that's just the way Xbox counts time. Now there's also another problem with the way that Dance Central has been tracking data, which doesn't line up with that. And so it's throwing everything off. So there's a thing in the menu, like if you're at the main menu where it scrolls through like, oh, you've gotten this many moves. One of the things is how many days in a row you've been playing. So that's how, I didn't know this for a while, but that's how you can sort of track it. So last week, like I play 3 or 4 times a day just so I get in all those time periods just in case. And I play the same 4 times every day just in case if one of those is the trigger. But so last Saturday, it said I had been playing 3 days in a row, even though I'd been playing for like 2 weeks in a row. But it said, okay, you've played 3 days in a row. Let's see if you can beat that. The next day, I played again. It said I've been playing 2 days in a row, which doesn't even make sense. So it's all broken. It's all off. But
sure.
It's frustrating because that's the last achievement I need.
You were going to be number 1. I had money that you were going to be the first person to beat it. And
no, because
by no money.
So many people got it before it came out. So all the top people, I was top 5 in most of the achievements, most of the harder achievements, but a lot of the simpler things, like I checked how many people got the first achievement in the game, and it was over 2 dozen just on TA. So, and all the people that got the playing it for a week straight, they all unlocked it before the game actually came out. So there was some
So they're
bug, something.
cheaters.
I think there was a patch or something when the game came out that kind of messed up that. Then once they try to fix one bug,
You can just
it
say they're
breaks other
cheaters.
things.
You can just call them out.
I wish they were cheaters because
They
then
just
I could cheat. I cheated
unjustly.
No, I think they're like reviewers and stuff. I think they got the copies. I mean, it's a digital only copy. It's not like they somehow pirated it.
They pirated it.
So okay,
I've been
they're
to Pirate
pirates.
Bay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any questions or comments about that? I know you don't like talking about Dance Central,
How?
but I had your fiance over and her sister and stuff. We played it the first day it came out. It was a lot of fun.
How does it stack up to the other ones though?
It's completely different. Like the dancing itself is the same,
Okay, so
'Cause
it's
it
not
shares some
completely
stuff.
different.
but what I mean is
You
the
don't
game
use a
itself.
controller now.
You don't use a controller, no. It uses the Kinect. It uses the camera. It tracks your body. There's no the game pads. It's not like Dance Revolution or anything like that. But like Dance Central 3 was all about. It had a bunch of features. There was actually a story to the game. It progressed through. You collected moves and made new routines. This game is you do collect moves, but you collect a move by getting a flawless on it. So if you do a move, you get a flawless on it, and that sort of has a tally for that song. So you have to get certain moves collected in that song to unlock other routines. You got to do more routines to get more moves. So there is a little progression level through it, but it's all just within a one song, and it's all just basic stuff. So there's no story. There's no other dance modes. There's still like a practice mode, but you just say like, "Hey, DJ, practice that," while you're playing a song, and you just practice what you've done. Before you could be like, "I want to practice a song." Goes into a dance studio, you do the entire song. Yeah, I mean, it's just laid out differently. There's no like leaderboards anymore. There's no like you can't see like your high score for songs, which is kind of frustrating. Like all this sort of social stuff, like it was connected to Facebook before. Oh, that's another thing too, is it used to take pictures of you both in the middle of playing, and if you did like a finishing move or whatever, it would show that picture then. It doesn't do that anymore. It still takes that, but it doesn't show it to you. So like it's still like you can still do freestyles, you can still do stuff, and it has like cool images on the screen, but afterwards it doesn't show you like a playback of what you just did. Which is I'm fine with that. I know, like the girls especially didn't like it. They always would turn off the camera, so like it wouldn't show it back to you because they were like self-conscious about it.
Sure.
So that stuff's gone. I think that was more design than anything else. There's less characters. Like Dance Central 3 had like a bunch of characters in it, all the ones from the other games, and it had like 4 costumes for each character. This only has 6 characters, 1 costume for each. And you can unlock another 6, which are basically the Power Rangers versions of those 6 players.
So it's just a little scaled back, but that's
it's scaled back, but it's
DLC.
it's like
Or
the stuff that
download.
you want. It's like okay, it's the dancing that you want. They give you more for the same amount of like even old songs. They're giving you more for each song. It's the songs are cheaper. They used to be $3, now they're $2, and you're getting 8 routines out of it. So and you get to pick what songs you want. Like I don't want to have to play a bunch of like disco songs to complete this game now. It's like, okay, I just want to buy the songs I like. And a lot of the songs that are coming out with all the DLC has been songs that have been like released the last couple weeks, couple months. Like, so they're new popular songs. They've kind of streamlined their whole process of getting songs out there.
Is there any Mighty Mighty Boss tones? Like
No,
Never
there's
Had to
not-
Knock
there's-
on Wood?
There's not a lot of real big band stuff yet.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
I guess,
there's Paramore, though. I know how you feel about Paramore.
I'd rather some Mighty Mighty Boss tones.
Yeah.
When they get that, maybe I'll jump into the
When
series.
they have the only the standalone Mighty Mighty Boss Tones version,
Yeah.
you'll get that.
I mean, maybe just like ska in general. Like, can we get some real big fish?
It's all just headbanging now. All the moves are just headbanging.
That's fine. I'd be great at that.
No, it really hurts your neck after a while. Trust me, there's some songs like that in Dance Central that.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
I guess that's enough, right? You didn't seem to be enjoying my talk about Dance Central.
I mean, like, you were telling me about it.
Yeah.
But I had
Was it boring to listen to?
No,
or
I just
'cause
had-
you're just anti.
I
Dance
had
Central?
I had no take on it. I've never played, like, besides the one song, I never played any of them, and I know what
Did
they're
you have
about.
you talked to Caitlin? What was her opinion about it?
I mean, I think she was like, it didn't blow her out of the water.
No, but it
Like,
wasn't.
it wasn't-
I'm saying it wasn't supposed to. This
No,
is
it's not supposed to, but it wasn't-
This is just like the skeleton of what the game is. This
Yeah.
is just sort of like the bullet points of what you need to play the game, and I'm happy with that. That's fine. Obviously, there's more things that I would want and other features, but it still has the dancing down. It still has the best tracking out of any Kinect game I've ever played.
Sure.
So
I mean, she had fun, but like, I think that she went into it like hoping that it was going to be Dance Central 4, and that would be the reason to get an Xbox One.
oh, okay.
And then, playing it, she's just like, oh, I mean, I'm fine with Dance Central 3.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's fun. You play it in a big group, But I don't think like
But it's the same thing about if Rock Band 4 came out.
Yeah.
Unless if they blew you out, unless if they changed the whole thing or added a bunch of new instruments. It's like I have so many DLC songs I can play, like, Rock Band 3 I can play forever. Rock Band 2 I can play forever because it's basically the same thing. Unless you want a keyboard, you don't really need to get 3 even. So
I still have yet to get the keyboard. One of these days.
Yeah, it's fun.
I have the full-size guitar, but and I want to get the cymbals for the drums.
Yeah.
But that's a different time. That time might have even passed.
Yep.
Did you want to talk about Destiny?
Yeah. So, and so the other game that I've been playing a lot, obviously, is Destiny. I live streamed it a little bit. Nobody watched.
Thanks, guys.
But I don't, like, there's just so much. It's such a big game, and there's so much going on. I don't even know what to talk about. Would you mind just sort of asking me questions to focus my discussion?
Sure. How do you feel about it? No.
I like it. Okay, if I were to say just one small thing about it, it's more. I want more.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to do, but I want more of those things. It feels like, they did so much. There's so many different aspects. There's so many things to do. I just want more of those things, which is a positive and a negative.
Yeah.
Like, it's good, so I want more.
It's mainly a positive.
But, like, as far as the story goes, it's a negative. So, like, going back to storytelling, because we talked about that a couple episodes ago, or last episode, really.
Yeah.
So the way the story's portrayed isn't great. First of all, it's, like, super short. It's pretty short. I think it's, like, 6 to 8 hours, depending on how you play.
Okay.
Which isn't bad. Normal shooters, that's average.
Yeah.
But for a game this big, you would expect it to be more. Which is fine because there are other things to offset that, and you are, it'll take you like 24 hours of gameplay just to get to it. But, like I said, the way the story is portrayed isn't great. So, there's this load screen when you're traveling around, like you use your ship to travel around. So it's kind of like Mass Effect, but not exactly. But there's this load screen that's almost similar to the Mass Effect, where it's just like your ship, and there's like, blue light because you're going through like...
Yeah, hyperspace.
Hyperspace or whatever. And 90% of the time, it's just a load screen. So you're not really paying attention.
Sometimes
but for the story missions, that's where they tell you the entire story for the mission over like a radio signal. So I had sort of conditioned myself not to really be paying attention. And also, it's just, they're just telling you...
They're talking at you.
They're just talking at you. Like, okay, you're going to do this. This is the story. This is what you're going to do. And then throughout the actual missions, there's not much. Like, they tell you, like, oh, go here to do this. Go here to do that. But there's not really... There's like 3 cutscenes in the entire game, which is ridiculous. 1, it's not the way Bungie's been doing storytelling. And 2, it's not like the way standard anymore.
Yeah.
Like, even if they would just give us the missions on like a small video, like a hologram, or show us a different screen... Like even Mass Effect, when they just give you text missions, like here, go here and do this, you know more what you're doing than I feel like you do in Destiny. Like they're not really portraying the story, and the story is not very long. I'm not satisfied. I said this to you going in because they have a 10-year contract with Activision, and they say this is going to be their game for the next 10 years. I was not expecting them to do a complete story for the first game. So this just feels like an intro to a better game. Like as soon as I started, I'm like, the second game's going to be great.
Yeah, but that's a dangerous thing to
I know.
to
no,
play
I don't
with.
think that was a good thing.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, I know they're not gonna wrap this up at all, and they really didn't. This felt like the first act to a game. This didn't even feel like a 3-act full story.
That hurts.
And that's my
as somebody who helped develop it, that hurts.
Yeah, and that's my biggest complaint is with the story. 1, the way they portrayed it. 2, how long it was. I wanted more cutscenes. That seems like a weird thing to say, but because cinematics have gone so far, and because storytelling and just the way, we're talking about like interactive movies and stuff, like I wanted more of a story. Like I actually wanted a story for this game. It was they built a world, and they did that like well. They did everything they created this universe, they created all these situations stuff, and you felt like it was real. Everything feels very organic in the game. And it's not just, I don't mean storytelling, but I mean just the way everything is this. Like, you go to the tower, and you see a bunch of other people doing their thing. Like, you see random people doing their own stuff. And same thing, like, when you're in a level, you just see a bunch of people doing stuff. You can see a fire team over here. You can see guys shooting things. You might be doing the same thing at the same time as somebody else and not actually be in a group with them.
Yeah.
And you can, like, sort of help each other. like this one time, like me and this other guy were in a fire team, and we were like level 6s, and we were trying to fight this guy that was way above. He was like a level 12 or something, and we were having a hard time with it. And this level 26 comes up on his little speeder and just shoots him once and kills him and like goes away. But it was like fun because it's like we couldn't do anything. I don't know. Like that sounded maybe like a negative thing, but it's like a cool thing to see people go through the levels. And there's certain parts of the level then that are you can't respawn. So if you're just in the world and you die, you just respawn a couple seconds later. There's no penalties.
Yeah.
But during the story missions, during strike missions, you can't respawn. So if you're going through the massive open world and you go into one of these no respawn zones, even if you're running with somebody with you that's not in your team, they'll just disappear. It's seamless to you. Basically you run into 2 different rooms at the same time and don't realize it. So like they can't like mess up your story or your actual missions or stuff like that. Unless if you're in a fire team together, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's just it's like all organic. Like you don't realize it unless if you're paying attention to it. Like I ran through a door and like he just kind of dissolves and disappears like he transported somewhere.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. It's just cool the way they and like I said, they do so much. There's story missions, there's random patrol missions, there's side missions, there's quests, there's bounties, there's all this multiplayer stuff.
So okay. Let me get back to the answering questions.
Yeah.
I can't say because I haven't played this game. I've heard people say that it's a shooter, first-person shooter, and then I've heard people say that it's an MMO.
Well, here's the thing. I think most people that criticize it are criticizing it as an MMO, and it's not 100% that. It is more a shooter than an MMO, but it has some of those elements. It has RPG elements, like you have skill trees for both your character and your weapons. So there's that sort of stuff. Like they combine a lot of different genres. That's what I'm saying. They're doing a lot of stuff. They do a lot of RPG stuff. They do a lot of MMO stuff. But it's mainly a shooter. I mean, it's built as a shooter, like a shooter plus all this other stuff. So if you look at it as just a shooter, as just a first-person shooter, then I think it does a really good job. It does a really great job. As like an MMO, I haven't played enough to judge, but that's where I hear that people are saying it doesn't hold up. It's not enough.
And then I'll put you on the spot.
Okay.
Because I don't have it, I've been looking at the reviews for the game.
Right. I've only actually looked at one review.
And I can give you the rundown. GameSpot. Is it Spot or Stop? I can never remember.
Spot.
GameSpot gave it a 6 out of 10. Polygon.
Do you know why? Did you like?
Yeah, I read them, and I'll go over
Okay.
them. Polygon gave it a 6 out of 10.
Uh-huh.
Escapist magazine gave it like a 6 out of 10. Like they seem to be really hitting the middle, and the arguments that all of them kind of make is one that they feel that it's very repetitive. They say that all of them, and again, this is completely because I haven't played, so I can only relay information.
Yeah.
They say that all the missions are. You run to a point, you're shooting bad guys like you normally would in a shooter, and then you deploy a guy who's like your Peter Dinklage, and then you protect him while swarms of enemies come, and then he opens a door or gives you treasure, and then you run to the next spot and you keep deploying him. It's just basically run, protect, run, protect, run, protect, run, protect. So they're just like, they'd like to see more variations in the level. 2 is the story, which you talked about.
Yeah.
And then 3, their other argument is just that and even Activision and Bungie kind of said that like this is a game that is meant, like it changes when you get to certain levels.
It absolutely does.
And their argument is like we shouldn't have to grind to level 22 for the game to start getting enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's their argument.
I agree with that statement. I don't know if it's necessarily accurate though, because one, it's a full game up to level 20. So you can play the entire thing and feel like I've done a lot of things. I'm fully experienced. And it doesn't take that long. I got to level 20 the end of the second time I played it.
Okay.
So, I mean, once again, I played a lot those 2 times, but it's not like it takes you weeks to do that.
Okay.
Then your progression becomes slower because it's not about XP. It's about light, which you get from special items and clothes and things like that, which you have to do tasks to be able to do that. That starts getting some time. But the game, like I said, I always think I've done everything, I've unlocked everything, and then every day I unlock more stuff. Like I always think that I've hit the ceiling, and then it just keeps getting higher and higher. anytime I do something, like, okay, I've done all that stuff, I keep doing all these tasks, and then something else will open up, or I'll get a message that there's another mission over here, or, oh, if you level up, you can do this. And, they do special events, both multiplayer and raids. Plus, they have daily and weekly special events. So you have a daily mission to do that obviously changes every day, and you have a weekly mission to do that changes, and there's different modifiers, and it's like more difficult than the normal story. Then there's also like strikes, which are it's kind of the natural evolution of Firefight from Halo, but it's like your fire team, which is 3 people, and you go into like sort of side missions. It's kind of that thing where it's like where you go through an area, you protect him, blah blah blah. So that's mainly is the strike missions, not the story missions that you do that.
Okay.
But it's like, yeah, you go in this room, you beat 3 waves of enemies. You go into this room, you beat this big boss. Then you go to this other room, you do this other stuff. And so there's also daily and weekly stuff for that. But like I just randomly got this message from the postmaster in the tower, which is basically the Citadel. And like, oh, you can go on this quest. So you had 3 choices of what quest to start on. And I started doing those. And for that, I had like a bunch of requirements to do. And I kept doing that. And once I finished all that, when I thought it was always done, they're like, okay, take this back to this person that usually gives you weapons. They're like, okay, go beat this one boss now. And you'll get it. I'm like, I've never heard of this boss. What is this thing? And I went to the map and a new level had opened up. Where it's like, okay, now that you've done all these other things that I thought was just this random side quest, you now have access to this completely different mission, this completely different boss. And the same thing like when they added the raids in. The raids we'll talk about because the raids are ridiculous. So raids are basically harder versions of strikes from what I hear. So strikes, like I said, are 3-player missions. You just go through random objective, beat bosses, do hard things. Raids are 6 people. So the thing about strikes is it's all match made. And for raids, they're not match made. So you got to find 5 other people. Plus, you have to be the highest level in the game so far. So it's 6 people. And I guess they say they don't tell you what to do in the mission. There's no like waypoints or voices being like, go over here, do that. Like you just kind of have to figure it all out for yourself. Okay. So they said by design it's not match made because you can only really do it with people that know what they're doing that you can talk to. So they're like, you don't want to have like one random guy because he'll mess it up. So they're like, you got to have 5 people, which I think is going to be near impossible, especially for me. Like I'm not going to be, unless if I go on the forums, join a clan, blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
So the first clan that ever beat it, they beat it 14 hours after it came out. So it took 14 hours just for one person to beat it, or one clan. And they had over 1,600 deaths. And there's an achievement in the game for beating a raid without anybody in your party dying. So like we were saying before, they've got to drastically change it. This one is supposed to be the hardest. They say this is the hardest thing they've ever created at Bungie. So hopefully down the line
weird
they'll have
to
raids,
lead with that.
But also their response was because the team tweeted it out like, hey, we beat it. They had a picture of it. And Bungie's like, oh, congratulations, now try it on hard. So like they were higher levels than they needed to be to complete it. It took them hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And it's still not even, like I said, it's not even the ceiling. Like you can do it harder, you can do it on impossible, and there's just always more to do. That scares me though, to try to have to do that. I try to do it on my own, just to see what it was like. And yeah, I mean,
well, yeah, on your own.
I just wanted to see because they're like, oh, there's no waypoints, so I just kind of wanted to go in the world to see what it was like. And yeah, I mean, like I said, on paper, like we're talking about co-op only games, it sounds great. Like in college, in Halo 2, if I was still like in a clan, I'd be like, yeah, we should do this. That would be a lot of fun. They said it was the hardest and most rewarding thing they've ever done as gamers.
That's crazy.
I know.
It's crazy sauce.
Right.
I will say that on paper, I mean, I've seen videos of it. It looks fun to play.
Stupid videos that I should.
Well, no, not even those. But I've seen it looks fun to play. And I think what would scare me away is all of that. Like crossover where it's like you need 5 people to do stuff and stuff like that, because it's just like you said, like there's just when we talked about games going more co-op is just like trying to, once you hit a certain age and you're out of that, I guess, college lifestyle, once you hit a certain age, trying to organize 2 people to get together is hard enough, let alone 5 people to
Do the
6
hardest thing
people
ever.
or 8 people or whatever games are going to be in the future.
Yeah.
Where a game requires you to have strict communication.
Right, and see, that's the thing too. It's like I wish, and I think a lot of people have already said this, is that I wish that had matchmaking.
Yeah.
Because they have matchmaking in other aspects of the game. Obviously, the multiplayer stuff, the competitive stuff, but also just the strike missions. There's both. You can just go in the strike mission and it'll automatically pair you up, or there's playlist for different strike missions that you can do. Like, that's what I do. I do level 24, I think, strike missions. I just play that playlist, and I'm always paired up with random people, and it's always fine. Like, we always get through it in one try.
Yeah.
So it's not like it couldn't be done. I know they're trying to say it's harder and you got to communicate. They're trying to force you to communicate, but that just means I'm never going to play a raid, I think.
That'll...
I mean, I'll try one eventually.
Yeah.
That's the thing, but it's like, it's got to be, I got to set it up on TA or I got to join a clan.
Well, you essentially have set it up on TA and create a clan just for those people.
Well, yeah. It's not hard to just join a clan, too, just to do a mission, because there's achievements for doing stuff as clans.
Yeah. So, it sounds like you hate it.
No.
You hate the game. Like a 1 out of 10? Is that what Chris's review is?
No, my review is maybe an 8 or an 8.5
Okay.
out of 10.
So better than it's been pinging.
Yeah, but that's another thing too. A lot of people saying, "Oh, like it's overhyped." Well, you guys were the ones overhyping it. Like, I understand that it had publicity and stuff, but it wasn't like Bungie's like, "This is the greatest game ever," or stuff like that. They haven't.
Yeah.
It hasn't been coming from them. It's been coming from other people.
No, yeah. I mean, there's...
So I'm just the overhype thing. I'm gonna say it's not like when they come out with Call of Duty, they're like, "This is the best Call of Duty ever," which they do, but they didn't do that for this game.
And I agree with
didn't do
you.
that.
I think this game is definitely one of those games that really suffers from the hype train because I mean, even without me having an Xbox One or the PS4 or whatever, like, this game was a game that I heard about forever. They're just like, this is...
Well, I mean, they've been making it for 4 years. It's their first non-Halo game.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Is like,
Bungie left Halo to do this. Like, and everyone's just like, well, Bungie made Halo. That's great. And then Halo 4 is where we both agree that Halo kind of dipped in Halo 4. So we're like, oh, well... That's because Bungie's not doing it. It's this new company and blah, blah, blah. So then you're just like, well, what are they going to do? And that's kind of, I guess, the hype that's always been is just like the team that brought you Halo 1 and Halo 2 that everyone was amazed about.
Yeah.
Like, this is their first game where they get to break free of that.
But the thing is, they didn't focus on the story, which I wish they would have. Because they were doing so many other aspects, because they were going into genres they haven't touched before, and just technologically, I'm sure they spent so much time and effort figuring out how to do these things, just having people in and out of your game and stuff like that. Like, just the vastness of it. Like I said, technologically, I think it's very impressive.
Oh,
I'm not talking about graphically, but I mean, graphically it is, but I just mean like the way that you interact with the world, the way that people are just around and you can do stuff with them or not do stuff. And there's a thing also called public events, which they've shown in trailers and stuff. If you're just around doing stuff in a certain map, then the sky goes dark for a second and something big happens, and it's an optional event like, hey, do you want to go do this together? So anybody on the map at one time can go do this thing.
Yeah.
So, and it's cool because once they join up, then they're like part of your thing for a little bit, and you do this massive little mission that takes a couple minutes together, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. So if I sum it up, it's Phantasy Star Online for the Dreamcast.
Yes.
Meets Halo.
Meets Star Fox.
Meets Star Fox with just a hint of Paper Mario.
And I will say, though, the gameplay itself, I think, is really great. I mean, that's just something that they've always been good at. They're good at controls. It sort of has the 3 pillars of Halo, which is weapons, grenades, and melee. Like, all that stuff feels great. You use all that stuff. You also now have special powers, which is cool. That's another, like, 4th leg, I guess. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like equipment, I guess, in Halo. But it's like the gameplay itself, like, is perfect. I wouldn't change anything really about the gameplay. So it's just the other stuff. Like, so the storytelling, I think the storytelling they really should have hit, though. They should have done more cutscenes. They should have presented the story better, and it should have been a full story. I'm fine with the story they told. It just wasn't a full story. There wasn't enough of it.
Yeah, and like you said, if it feels like you don't want a game, a $60 game, to feel like a first act of a bigger story,
right? Even though it has so much other stuff, I've already played the game for like 48 hours of game time and stuff. I still, like I said, I still wanted.
Well, the thing is, like, even like Mass Effect 1, which is the first game of a trilogy, I still felt like when I finished it, yes, I wanted more, but I still felt there was a complete story. And same with 2 and
right.
And
well,
3.
like even Halo 1 was a complete story.
Yeah,
that was a huge epic story. That's the thing too. Like, this story, it's weird because it feels smaller than Halo did. Which is weird because Halo all took place on just the Halo ring, but for some reason it felt more epic. Mainly because I think the worlds were maybe spread open more, but also it just felt like a bigger thing. Like, I think it's good that you're not like you kind of are. You're not like, okay, you're the one guy that's saving the universe.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you are a guy that's doing something good.
Yeah.
And you see other that's the cool thing about seeing other people, both in the tower, both doing their own missions. It's like, oh, there's other Guardians out there doing the same thing. I'm just like one person of an army.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not the guy.
Yeah, you're not the epic hero.
Right.
Well, this has been Destiny Talk.
Yeah, this has been our Destiny Corner, which we'll probably have to do every week since we'll have lots to talk about.
Destiny Corner with Chris
Yeah.
and host Phil Chesters, who has not played Destiny.
No, and nor will he play it, probably, right?
No, it's, I mean, like, no.
It's on the 360.
Yeah, no, I mean, no offense to, like, I don't take the reviews as anything because I don't really follow them.
Yeah.
I just did for this game because it was, like, a big release and it's gotten a lot of press that it,
Right.
quote unquote, hasn't lived up to the hype. I will say, though, like, Destiny just doesn't sound like a game that would hold my attention.
Do you think it's because it's too shooter-based? Is that what it is? Like, if it was more of a...
No, I think basically what you told me is, like, the story isn't there. It's just, like, I'm fine with playing, like, Halo's a shooter,
Yeah.
but because it had a great story,
Yeah.
I was still involved. So if it's like, hey, this is a great shooter, but there's no story and a lot of the aspects are multiplayer, then it's just like, oh, so I can play the 8-hour remedial story and then
Like
kind
I said,
of
though,
be done with it.
It's not bad, it's just not enough. And, like, the way the story progresses throughout a mission is fun, too. Like, the way get introduced to new enemies for the first time is always exciting and fun. Like, they do that well. Like, it's they cinematically tell the story throughout the gameplay mission anyways.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, there wasn't a time in the story where I'm like, this is stupid, or I don't care. It was more like...
no, when it ended, you were just like, whoa,
I was like,
need
okay,
more.
cool. Like, I thought that was step one,
Yeah, yeah.
not the final step.
I will say that maybe for the marathon, I'll pop
try it
on,
out?
I'll play it for a little bit, and then make my judgment from there.
Okay.
Based on right now what I've read about it, / what I've heard, /
Right.
what I've watched, it doesn't. It'd be like, oh, I'd get this game when it's $20.
But here's another thing, too. I mean, that's better than just judging it without playing it, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think a game like that, you can't really judge by just playing an hour or even 5.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should, but I'm saying I think that's another problem with the reviews, too, is that people don't play the game for 20 hours before they review it. They just play it enough to review it.
Some of them
most times,
said they did.
Yeah.
Because they'll say,
I'm
like,
saying in general. I'm not saying
yeah.
specifically for this game, but I'm saying a lot of times they won't even finish the game.
No, yeah.
And once
yeah.
again, I feel like this game is not a 6 out of 10 in general. It's they're reacting to what they thought it should be because it's a big game. The weird thing to me, though, is it's these people that are giving it, 6 out of 10s and stuff are the same people that give every Call of Duty a 10.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Every
definitely...
Madden gets like a 9.5
There's
or
always-
a 10.
there's
and
always
it's like
that
every Call
bias.
of Duty gets a 10.
And that's why you have to take the reviews with a grain of salt, is because, like you said, like, these are 6 out of 10s, and then
No,
you look
but
at it and you say
it's
Madden's a 10 out
but
of 10, and Madden's been declining for years.
But I feel like that's the thing. I feel like they're trying to revolt against the machine. They're trying to revolt against the big game, but it's weird that they chose this game but still review other big games really high, even though they're the same thing every year.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like, I was just, like I said, those are I only follow a couple episodes. Like, Kotaku's the only other one that I follow that hasn't done a review.
Yeah.
They just do, like, here are some cool things you could do, but there's no, like, official formal review. So, like, GameStop and Polygon and, like, Escapist are just, like, the 3 regular game websites. And I was like, all of them give it a 6? That seems weird.
The only review that I read was the one on XboxAchievements.org or whatever.
Okay.
And it was
Might be slightly biased.
It gave it a 75 out of 100, and that's because it gave the achievements a 50. If you weren't to factor in the achievement score,
it would get like an 8 or 9.
You got a 9. If you factored in the audio, the graphics, the playability, whatever else they judge. But anyways, the actual thing that had to do with the game's excluded achievements, they gave it a 90 out of 100. But achievements were so bad.
Yeah.
It took the entire score down to 75.
I will say when I'll pull it up every once in a while in TA just to see, and just seeing that 0 people have completed it.
It's not only that, there's like 15 achievements that 0 people have.
Well, it's like all the raid ones, like 2 people have, like the first raid one.
Last time I checked, only one person had the raid achievement.
And then there's like outfit your entire gear with fully
Legendary
upgraded legendary
yeah.
stuff. Yeah. But I mean, that's that's a game that they want people pouring in 80, 100 hours in if you truly are going to complete it. That's not a game. That's not a game you pop in and you're just like, I'm going to knock out the story missions.
But it was like looking at the achievement list when I first came out. I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. This is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Not knowing that things like raids, especially, are going to be the hardest thing I ever have to do.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with it only in the fact that if this was any other game or any other type of game that I didn't really like, I would not do it.
Yeah.
So if there is going to be a hard game, if there is going to be a grindy game, I'm at least somewhat thankful that I like playing the game.
Yeah. Well, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
It's weird because it has a lot of similarities to Halo, but like none at all at the same time. Like there's things that you can equate to it, but like the multiplayer feels almost nothing like Halo multiplayer.
Well, they probably wanted to get away from a little bit of it.
Yeah, but like because the core gameplay is very similar, it's weird that it's, I don't know. It's like the essence feels different with sort of the nuts and bolts being the same. So, well, okay, I'll talk about this pre-order thing about Call of Duty just because it's somewhat related. So another weird thing that I saw too is that if you pre-order the new Call of Duty, you get gear in Destiny, which is very bizarre because now that they're the same company, like they were always rivals, and now they're using each other's game to sell.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so if you pre-order Call of Duty, you get like a legendary shader, which is like you can change your armor color to a certain thing, and it's black and gold, which is the Call of Duty colors. So I think it's just weird that they're using one game to sell the other, since they were always like rivals and stuff like that. And I think it's weird to use
it'd be like,
it's weird to use pre-order bonuses to sell games, other games in general.
I think pre-order bonuses don't actually ever. Like, I think they put it in there because they're expected to, but I really don't think anyone makes up their mind based on those anymore.
Oh, no, I don't think... And certainly that incentive on paper seems like that's not worth it.
Yeah.
And then in the game you realize that they are actually kind of rare, and they cost a lot of money if you do buy them. There's only a couple of them. So to get that... And I've seen a handful of people with that Call of Duty one. So, I mean, people are doing it, but they probably would have just gotten it anyways.
Yeah, it's people that probably would have just gotten Call of Duty anyway, and they're like, oh, wait, we have Destiny, so let's just pre-order it for, the extra $5 or whatever the pre-order is, and put down the down payment.
I just wanted to, like, what do you think of the way that pre-orders are now in general? It seems like there's this huge movement to try to force you to always pre-order a game.
Oh, I laugh in the faces of the salespeople who try and convince.
It seems to be working though. Like people seem to be pre-ordering more and more games.
I'll take your word on it. I will say
just based on numbers that they come out with.
I haven't pre-ordered a game since the Super Nintendo era.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess because your whole style of gaming is different now.
But even Dreamcast to Nintendo 64 to PlayStation 2 to Xbox.
It's weird because I didn't used to do it, but I do it now.
I didn't obviously always focus on old games when I had those systems. It's really just been the 360. But pre-orders just because I'm so wary that games end up being shit.
Well, because you don't buy them day one, there's no reason to pre-order them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's there's a lot of games that I might be on the fence about that I just want to wait for that first 5 or 6 people to be like, hey, it's everything we want it to be. They're the games that I've bought that have been close to day one, and that's stupid is NBA game. 2K12 I think I bought week 1. But it was still I knew I wanted a basketball game, but I wasn't going to pre-order it to get hey, you get an extra basketball.
Right. But don't you think there's that trend of they're giving you more and more stuff, and that each retailer gets its own exclusive, and I feel like they're almost getting to the point where you're not going to get a full game if you don't pre-order it.
I agree. I think it's going that way. GameStop's got this mode and this stuff.
Yeah, and it's if you want everything, you got to buy 6 different copies.
Yeah. But I think that they'll pull back before it gets too far. Right now, it's just you get some maps, but they eventually release as DLC and maybe pay the extra $5.
They're trending back towards it being more reasonable. I think it was a year or 2 ago that it was really out of control.
Yeah.
But we talked about Alien Isolation, and those story missions where you play as the original cast, those are pre-order bonuses, which is, I think that's a good thing. It seems like it would be bad, but it's good because you don't have to buy it as DLC then. You're getting all that extra content as a pre-order bonus, and if you want to buy it later, you can. But if you pre-order it, you get that stuff extra. Because it's not technically part of the real game.
Yeah.
And like I said, and you're getting it for free. It's not only get the DLC if you pre-order. Sometimes they do that. They used to do that at least.
So I will say this. I know it's a completely different company, but I think it's dangerous seeing how the last Alien game was such an utter complete garbage.
Yeah, to buy into it right away. I still haven't pre-ordered it.
Pre-order it right away to get that, I feel is a risk on their part because I know that's what they want. They want people to pre-order because they're like, look at all this sweet shit we had.
Yeah.
But people still have that in their recent memory. They're
they
just
still
like,
have the bad taste in their mouth.
I wanted an Alien game, and somebody gave me Colonial Marines, and it was the worst game I've ever played.
Because on every video they showed us, every demo looked amazing.
Yeah,
and then it
so
wasn't.
I think that's... I understand why they're doing it, because they want people to just buy in before it comes out. But at the same time, I think it's like people are just going to be super skeptical, and they're just going to be like, you can't even point to an Alien game that was good in the past.
Yeah.
That is going to make me go like, yeah, this is going to turn around the franchise. Because I know, again, it's separate. It's separate companies.
But you are optimistic about this game, though, right? You think it's going to be a good game.
It looks good, but
you're not going to buy it day one.
No, I've said it looks good to a lot of games.
But no, that's the thing. I'm super excited for it. I think it's going to be good, and I'm planning on playing it for the 24-hour marathon, but I still haven't pre-ordered it. Yeah. Even though you get extra stuff, I can't bring myself to pre-order it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I can't think, like, there are games that I would love to pre-order because they're games that, have a huge following, but I'm just glad that I never did.
Yeah.
Like, I can think of, like, most recently, like, after playing Mass Effect 2, I could have pre-ordered Mass Effect 3. I'm glad I didn't, because, frankly, Mass Effect 3 to me doesn't live up to 2. Yeah. Dragon Age 1, I loved. Dragon Age 2 was a stink. Like, it's just, like, there's so many games where, like, I'll pre-order because I'm invested in the series.
Right.
That it won't be just a random game that comes out.
Oh, no, yeah.
So, like,
the first game I remember pre-ordering was Halo 2.
Yeah.
And then, like, after that, it was only the second or third game of the series.
Yeah. So, like, I won't just go into a game and I'm just like, oh, I've heard a lot of good things about this game, but I don't know their track record. So I wouldn't pre-order those anyway. And then so far, like, sequels and trequels haven't really been up to...
Well, I feel like they're getting away maybe from the pre-order bonuses, and they're trying to force the season pass.
Oh,
And it's like they're asking you to pay for content they haven't even created yet.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different than a pre-order bonus because technically you're buying a game before they finish it. But it's like, okay, we're gonna do DLC. We don't know what it is. We haven't done it yet. We haven't completed the game.
We're gonna have
the fact that they're selling the season passes before the game even comes out, I think, is a little too much.
I definitely think it's once again it's just companies being a little money hungry.
Yeah.
And obviously, and I know that's exactly the reason, is because they're just like, maybe people will buy this game. Well, they will.
Yeah.
Because
but also, we want to get people to pay for it before they know if it's good or bad.
Yeah. And we want people to pay for it before they know it's good or bad, because it's obviously a negative review is going to hurt our the money coming in. And we want people to buy all the DLC for the same reason. If we drop a bunch of freaking horse armored DLCs in Oblivion where it's $10 to outfit your horse and nothing changes, they've already fucking paid for that. Those idiots.
Exactly. They don't know. They don't know. They're like, oh, okay, we're gonna do we'll do a story mission. We'll do some content.
Yeah.
You can come out if they've already paid for it all. You can.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. If you're just like, we got 900 people that have already paid for the DLC,
and all you do is change your hair color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, joke's on them.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing, is there's no fallout anymore.
Well, the thing is, if they obviously people are going to react to it, so if they plan to do it on their next game, it's not going to work. So they don't want to completely alienate the audience, but
yeah, but at the same time, like, I would say that there's only so many publishers. So if
right.
you come out with a game that people want, it doesn't matter. Like, Oblivion did the horse armor thing, which is to me the most notable like DLC, where it's just like it's $10. It doesn't even affect the game at all.
Yeah,
and they still came out with other stuff. People kept buying it because they're just like,
damn it, everything that comes out for the game.
Yeah. But just like, you could still, like, Call of Duty could do that. Call of Duty's a big franchise where they're just like, hey, you get our season pass, and they just release like
Call of Duty kind of does it.
Gun skin mods,
right? And it's like $20, and people pay for it.
You can put a marijuana leaf on your gun, and people will buy the shit out of it.
Yeah, you can have Snoop Dogg be your announcer for multiplayer.
And it's just like, you guys are just feeding into their, like, there's no way. I don't want to say like this sounds stupid. There's no way for the companies to learn unless you stop making purchases.
Right, but that's the thing that we've talked about, like, trend towards bad movies and towards bad games. They sell well, so not only do they make bad games, they make more bad games because other companies try to copy that bad model.
Yeah.
Even though nobody really likes them, but everybody buys them and plays them. So
I mean, initially, like, once Madden started going downhill, people should have been like, these Maddens are awful now. They're not even changing anything.
It's because they bought the NFL license. It's
Yeah.
like, this is a football game. I like football games, so I have to say this is good or they're going to stop making all football games.
The thing is, like, you can be like, they could have a bad selling year where you're just like, we're not going to buy this roster update. We'll play 2011 when it's 2012, and we'll be happy with it. And then you wait a year and you hope it gets better. But the problem is,
everybody buys
everyone has to buy it. Everyone has to buy every Call of Duty. Yeah. Everyone has to buy every Madden.
Even if the gaming community stopped buying those games, all the athletes would, and it would still then sell very well.
Like, I'm skeptical that, like, I just see that trend continuing as, like, the more conglomerates there are. They just keep getting bigger. Like Activision now having Destiny and Call of Duty, and Destiny is, you know, the biggest selling game forever now.
The pre-order, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, and then you're gonna have Call of Duty where everyone's immediately gonna get Call of Duty because Call of Duty. I just imagine that they're just gonna start like kind of swallowing up.
Especially because they're not rivals anymore. Because they're working together, they're just gonna. Oh, that's another thing too. That the sales for the Xbox and PlayStation were split on Destiny. It was 50-50 exactly.
Yeah.
There was a much higher percentage of people playing the 360 version than the PS3, but I think that's just because the install base is different, and more people are still playing the 360, where if you had a PS3, you bought a 4. And I think there's more people that haven't bought a 1 yet.
Yeah.
But it was exactly 50-50, which is interesting. So basically, Bungie doubled their profit, which they knew they were going to do. That's why they wanted to go multi-platform. That's why they wanted to get away from Microsoft, was because they're like, it's not fair that you're comparing our numbers to games that come out on 4 consoles when we only come out on 1.
Yeah.
So,
how's that cat's pajamas?
Okay, that was more than enough, I think, for today.
What are you talking about?
All right, guys. Well, that was the episode, I guess. We're done talking. We're tired.
Yeah.
It's mainly me. I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
Well, yeah, I
gotta go play Destiny again. I
just
can't
got to sit back
and
watch you talk about Destiny and Dance Central for about 45 minutes.
I can cut it. You talk about one, then I can talk about one.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I still got to watch you talk about games for 45 minutes.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at NotFunPodcast. Also, we got a website, thisisn'tfunanymorepodcast.com. All the episodes go up there, but they also go up on iTunes if you want to subscribe to it, make it a little bit easier on yourself.
And then we're doing a 24-hour gaming marathon around the end of October.
October 25th.
It is right now. We have a link on our website. It's under the first episode. We will post it again under this episode.
Yeah, or if you just go to contact page, it'll have all that info, both Twitter, email, and the charity we have set up for a 24-hour marathon.
Yeah. So do things to us.
Yes, please do things to us.
Is
that our new sign-off?
That's our new sign-off.
Okay.
I like it.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.